Welcome to Legacy Coins USA, where ordinary pennies hide extraordinary secrets. Today we're diving into the top 6 Lincoln pennies that look like everyday change but can carry jaw-dropping value. These tiny copper coins tell powerful stories of history, rare mistakes, and hidden fortune. Before you ever spend another penny, watch closely, because the next life-changing treasure could already be in your hands. This is where legends are made, history comes alive, and small coins reveal massive value. First up. To understand what is real and what is exaggerated, it is important to slow down and look closely at the coins themselves. The Lincoln 1-cent coin bearing the words "In God We Trust, Liberty, United States of America, and E Pluribus Unum" has been part of American life for more than a century. Millions upon millions were struck every year, including in 1973 at the Denver Mint, marked with a small d. These coins are authentic pieces of history, but they are not bicentennial issues. The true bicentennial celebration in U.S. coinage occurred in 1975 and 1976, when special designs were issued to honor 200 years of American independence. This distinction matters because hype often blends unrelated details to create the illusion of extreme rarity. A 1973 D Lincoln cent is a standard circulation coin, not a commemorative bicentennial piece. However, that does not mean all such coins are worthless. Value in coin collecting is not created by age alone, nor by patriotic slogans, but by a precise combination of condition, rarity, demand, and sometimes astonishing minting mistakes. When those elements align, even a common coin type can rise far above face value. The true stars of the Lincoln cent series are not ordinary examples pulled from loose change, but extraordinary survivors or dramatic errors. Coins that were struck off-center, doubled in their lettering, or produced on the wrong metal planchet are intensely sought after. A penny accidentally struck on a bronze or silver-colored blank meant for another coin can become a numismatic sensation. These errors are scarce because they were never supposed to exist, and scarcity is the heartbeat of value in the coin world. Condition is another silent force that can transform copper into treasure. Most pennies were used, scratched, darkened, and worn smooth by decades of handling. A coin that somehow avoided circulation and remains in pristine, original condition can be dramatically more valuable than one that looks similar at first glance. Professional grading services examine coins under magnification, judging tiny details most people never notice. A single-point difference in grade can mean the difference between a modest collectible and a coin worth thousands of dollars. When people hear claims of pennies worth millions, those stories usually trace back to a very small number of legendary coins. The famous 1943 copper Lincoln cent, accidentally struck during a year when pennies were supposed to be steel, is one such example. Only a handful are known, and their rarity, combined with historical intrigue, has driven prices into the hundreds of thousands and beyond. These coins are not typical, and they are not hiding in every drawer, but they prove that extraordinary value is possible under extraordinary circumstances. Bicentennial coins, properly understood, have their own appeal and charm. The 1776 to 1976 dual-dated quarters, half dollars, and dollars were minted in huge numbers, and most are worth only face value today. Yet some versions, especially those struck in silver for collectors or preserved in flawless condition, do carry premiums. They are valued not because they will make someone a billionaire, but because they represent a defining national moment captured in metal. The danger of sensational claims is that they encourage people to see every old coin as a lottery ticket rather than a historical artifact. This mindset can lead to disappointment, but it can also distract from the genuine joy of collecting. Coins connect us directly to the past, to the economy, politics, and daily life of the people who use them. Holding a Lincoln cent from the early 1970s is holding a small piece of American history, even if it is not a financial miracle. That said, careful searching is not foolish. Knowledge is the real treasure. Learning how to identify mint marks, recognize authentic errors, and assess condition gives collectors an edge. Many valuable coins are found not because they are magically common, but because a knowledgeable person knew exactly what to look for when everyone else saw only spare change. The difference between fantasy and opportunity is education. The idea of value being superimposed on Liberty coins is best understood symbolically rather than literally. Liberty, trust, and unity are engraved into U.S. coinage as ideals, not price tags. The market assigns value later, based on how rare and desirable a particular coin becomes over time. When collectors compete for something few others can own, prices rise, sometimes dramatically, but never without reason. It is also important to recognize that the coin market is driven by collectors, not by wishful thinking. Prices fluctuate with trends, discoveries, and economic conditions. A coin rumored online to be worth millions may in reality sell for a few dollars, while a quiet, unattractive error coin might ignite fierce bidding among specialists. The loudest stories are rarely the most accurate ones. For those who dream of finding something life-changing, the best approach is balanced curiosity. Examine coins carefully, handle them gently, and resist the urge to clean them, as cleaning can destroy value instantly. If something truly unusual appears, professional evaluation is essential. Experts rely on weight, metal composition, strike quality, and microscopic details to separate genuine rarities from hopeful misinterpretations. The fascination with rare pennies endures because it blends hope with history. Even when the odds are long, the possibility sparks imagination. A small copper coin can feel like a message from the past, whispering that it has seen more than we realize. That emotional pull is part of why coin collecting has survived for generations, long after pennies stopped buying much of anything. In the end, the real fortune hidden in U.S. coins is not guaranteed wealth, but understanding. Knowing which coins are truly rare, why they matter, and how myths grow around them protects collectors from disappointment and sharpens their eye for genuine opportunity. Some coins are indeed worth staggering sums, but they are exceptional, not ordinary. Appreciating that truth makes the hunt more exciting, more honest, and far more rewarding than chasing exaggerated dreams of instant billions. Next coin. The idea that a simple 1974 Lincoln penny could be a hidden fortune is one of the most electrifying stories in the coin world. People hear the words "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and "United States of America" and imagine a secret message stamped into copper, waiting decades to explode in value. A coin so small, so ordinary, yet whispered about as priceless, creates instant fascination. That fascination is exactly why Lincoln pennies continue to capture attention, fuel viral claims, and keep collectors searching through jars, drawers, and inherited collections with renewed excitement. The year 1974 sits in a powerful place in American memory, a time of change, economic pressure, and national reflection. While it was not an official bicentennial year, coins from this era are often wrapped into bicentennial-style legends because they are close in time to America's 200th anniversary. This proximity alone has caused countless myths to grow. People assume age plus patriotic wording equals massive value, but the real story is far more interesting, deeper, and more surprising than simple dates on a coin. The Lincoln cent itself is one of the most iconic objects ever produced in the United States. Designed to circulate endlessly from hand to hand, it was never meant to be rare. Millions of 1974 pennies were struck, filling cash registers and pockets across the nation. Yet history has proven again and again that rarity is not always planned. Sometimes it is born from accidents, overlooked details, and tiny imperfections that slip through the mint unnoticed. What truly turns an ordinary 1974 Lincoln penny into something extraordinary is not the date alone, but the unexpected. Errors are where imagination meets reality. A doubled image in the lettering, a misaligned strike, or a coin struck on the wrong metal can elevate a common cent into a collector's obsession. These mistakes are frozen moments of chaos in an otherwise precise system, and collectors crave them because no two are exactly alike. Metal composition also plays a silent but powerful role in value. The early 1970s were a turning point for American coinage, as rising copper prices forced the U.S. Mint to rethink how pennies were made. Most 1974 cents are copper-based, but any deviation in weight, color, or sound can signal something unusual. Coins that don't match the expected profile spark intense curiosity, because they hint at a story that was never supposed to exist. Condition is another force that separates the forgettable from the unforgettable. A penny pulled from circulation after decades of use may carry history, but it rarely carries high value. A 1974 Lincoln cent preserved in pristine, untouched condition is something else entirely. Sharp details, original luster, and untouched surfaces can multiply a coin's worth dramatically in the eyes of collectors who compete fiercely for perfection. The phrase "value superimposed" is often used to suggest that worth is somehow magically layered onto Liberty coins.
In reality, value is something that builds over time through demand, rarity, and desire. Liberty, trust, and unity are ideals stamped into the coin, but collectors decide what those ideals are worth in the marketplace. When a coin tells a compelling story, the price can rise far beyond its humble beginnings. Claims that standard circulation coins are worth millions should always be approached with caution, but not with dismissal. While most pennies will never fund a mansion or a private jet, history shows that a few extraordinary examples have reached astonishing prices. These coins are exceptions, not rules, and their value comes from being nearly impossible to replace. That scarcity is what turns curiosity into competition and competition into high prices. The mythology surrounding rare USA bicentennial coins thrives because people want hope to be tangible. A coin is something you can hold, weigh, and examine. It feels real in a way that distant investments do not. The idea that wealth could be hiding in a jar of spare change is irresistible, even when reality is more selective and demanding. True collectors are not chasing overnight riches, they are chasing understanding. They study mint marks, examine edges, compare weights, and learn how genuine errors differ from damage. This knowledge is what turns searching into discovery. Without it, a penny is just a penny. With it, a penny becomes a question waiting to be answered. One of the greatest mistakes people make is cleaning coins in hopes of revealing value. Cleaning erases history and destroys surfaces that collectors prize. A bright, scrubbed penny is often worth less than a dark, untouched one. Value lives in authenticity, not shine, and serious collectors can spot altered coins instantly. The market for rare coins is driven by passion as much as money. Collectors compete not just to own something valuable, but to own something meaningful. A rare 1974 Lincoln cent with a dramatic error connects its owner to a unique moment in American minting history. That connection is what fuels demand and keeps prices strong for the right pieces. It is important to separate dreams from deception. Not every old coin is a treasure, and not every viral claim is grounded in fact. Yet dismissing all possibilities would be just as wrong. Hidden among millions of ordinary coins are a few extraordinary survivors, waiting for the right eyes to recognize them. If you own old pennies, especially from the early 1970s, the smartest move is not to panic or fantasize, but to observe. Look closely. Learn slowly. Compare carefully. A real rarity will stand out under honest examination. And if something truly unusual appears, expert evaluation is the gateway to truth. In the end, the real power of Lincoln pennies is not just financial. They teach patience, curiosity, and respect for history. The promise of unimaginable worth may be rare, but the thrill of the search is always real. Every coin carries a story, and once in a great while, that story turns out to be worth far more than anyone ever expected. Next up. The moment someone hears that a simple 1978 D Lincoln penny might be valuable, imagination ignites. A coin so ordinary, so familiar, stamped with "In God We Trust and Liberty," suddenly feels powerful. People begin to wonder how something spent without thought could now be whispered about as priceless. That sense of hidden potential is what keeps the legend of rare Lincoln pennies alive, and why the idea of unimaginable value resting in everyday change continues to captivate collectors and dreamers alike. The year 1978 carries a special weight in American coinage history. It arrived just after the nation's bicentennial celebrations, when pride, patriotism, and symbolism were still fresh in the public mind. Although the 1978 Lincoln cent is not an official bicentennial coin, it is often swept into bicentennial-era mythology because it represents the aftermath of that historic milestone. Coins from this period feel charged with meaning, and that emotional connection plays a powerful role in how people perceive their worth. The Denver Mint, identified by the small d beneath the date, produced enormous numbers of Lincoln cents in 1978. These coins were designed for circulation, not for rarity. Yet history has shown that rarity does not always come from low mintage. Sometimes it comes from what went wrong rather than what went right. A minor disruption in the minting process can transform an otherwise common coin into something fiercely sought after. What truly separates an ordinary 1978 D penny from a potentially valuable one is the unexpected detail that most people never notice.
A doubled impression in the lettering, a shifted strike, or a flaw that repeats itself consistently can signal something special. These are not scratches from wear or damage from time, but genuine minting anomalies that occurred at the moment the coin was born. That instant of imperfection is what collectors crave. By the late 1970s, the composition of the Lincoln cent had become a quiet source of fascination. Copper prices had already influenced earlier changes, and the U.S. Mint was operating under intense pressure to balance cost and consistency. Any deviation in weight, tone, or texture can raise questions. A penny that feels just slightly off can open the door to deeper investigation and unexpected discovery. Condition adds another layer of intrigue. Most 1978 pennies were used immediately, passed from hand to hand, scratched, dulled, and worn. A coin that somehow escaped circulation and remains sharp, glossy, and untouched carries a different energy entirely. In the collector world, perfection is not just admired, it is fiercely competed for. Two identical coins can exist, yet one may be worth many times more simply because it survived unscarred. The phrase value superimposed is often misunderstood. Value is not literally stamped onto Liberty coins, it is built over time through desire and scarcity. Liberty is the symbol, but collectors assign the worth. When a coin represents something rare, misunderstood, or nearly lost to history, its value grows layer by layer, much like a story gaining power with each retelling. Claims that standard circulation coins can be worth millions often sound unbelievable, yet they persist because history has produced astonishing exceptions. A tiny number of coins have crossed into legendary status due to extreme rarity, dramatic errors, or unique circumstances. These are not everyday finds, but they fuel the belief that something extraordinary could still be waiting to be noticed. The idea that rare USA bicentennial-era coins could make someone rich overnight thrives because it mixes hope with realism. Coins are physical proof that the past still exists in the present. Unlike abstract investments, a coin can be held, examined, and questioned. That tangible connection makes the dream feel closer, even when the odds are narrow. True value seekers do not rely on rumors or viral claims. They study. They compare known examples, understand minting behavior, and learn how genuine errors differ from damage. This knowledge transforms searching from blind luck into informed exploration. Without understanding, coins are noise. With understanding, they speak clearly. One of the most damaging mistakes made by hopeful owners is cleaning a coin. Cleaning strips away originality, leaving behind a surface that collectors instantly reject. Age, tone, and even imperfections are part of a coin's identity. Removing them erases history and often erases value along with it. The rare coin market is driven by emotion as much as logic. Collectors chase not only monetary gain, but ownership of something unique. A rare 1978 D Lincoln cent with a striking anomaly becomes more than copper, it becomes a one-of-a-kind artifact. That emotional pull is what pushes certain coins into remarkable price territory. Separating truth from exaggeration is essential. Not every old penny is a hidden fortune, and most will never exceed modest value. Yet dismissing the possibility entirely ignores the lessons of history. Extraordinary coins exist precisely because they were overlooked for years, sometimes decades, before being recognized. If you own pennies from the late 1970s, the wisest approach is patience. Observe them carefully. Compare details. Weigh them if possible. A truly unusual coin will reveal itself through consistency, not imagination. When something does not match expectations, that is when the story becomes interesting. In the end, the legend of the 1978 D Lincoln penny is not really about guaranteed riches. It is about awareness. It reminds us that history hides in small places and that value is not always obvious at first glance. Most pennies will remain pennies, but a rare few carry stories powerful enough to transform curiosity into discovery and discovery into something truly unforgettable. Next up. The idea that a 1980 Lincoln penny could be hiding extraordinary value instantly grabs attention because it challenges what we think we know about money. A coin so small, so common, stamped with "In God We Trust and Liberty," feels almost invisible in daily life. Yet when people hear whispers of unimaginable worth, that invisibility turns into intrigue. Suddenly, every penny feels like a mystery, and the ordinary becomes electrifying.
The year 1980 sits at a fascinating crossroads in American coin history.
It came just a few years after the bicentennial era, when national pride and symbolism were still echoing through U.S. coinage. Although 1980 was not a bicentennial year, coins from this period are often swept into bicentennial-style legends because they belong to the same historical momentum. That lingering patriotic energy fuels the belief that these coins carry something more than face value.
The Lincoln cent itself is one of the most produced objects in American history.
It was never meant to be rare, and millions of 1980 pennies entered circulation. They moved through gas stations, grocery stores, school cafeterias, and coin jars without a second glance. Yet history has shown that value does not always come from intention. Sometimes it comes from accidents, inconsistencies, and moments when perfection briefly failed. What makes a 1980 Lincoln penny interesting to collectors is not the date alone, but what might be different about it. A slight doubling in the lettering, an unusual strike, or a subtle misalignment can instantly elevate curiosity. These features are not damage from use, but fingerprints left behind by the minting process itself. Collectors see these details as frozen moments, proof that something unexpected happened when the coin was created. By 1980, the U.S. Mint was operating under economic pressure and constant demand. Efficiency mattered, speed mattered, and mistakes, though rare, were inevitable. When a coin slips through with a flaw that repeats or stands out, it becomes a candidate for collector attention. These errors are powerful because they were never supposed to exist, and scarcity born from accident is one of the strongest drivers of value. Condition plays a dramatic role in how a 1980 penny is perceived. Most examples were heavily used, stacked, scraped, and dulled over time. A coin that somehow escaped circulation and remains sharp, bright, and untouched feels almost unnatural. In the collector world, survival in pristine condition is not luck alone, it is rarity layered on top of history. The phrase value superimposed often fuels imagination, as if worth is secretly layered onto Liberty coins. In truth, value grows slowly, shaped by demand, scarcity, and storytelling. Liberty represents an idea, but collectors decide what that idea is worth. When a coin carries a compelling narrative, even a simple penny can rise far above expectations. Claims that standard circulation coins can be worth millions capture attention because they blur the line between fantasy and fact. While most pennies will never reach such heights, history proves that a few extraordinary coins have shattered expectations. These are not common finds, but their existence keeps hope alive and searching worthwhile for those who understand what they are looking for. The legend of rare USA bicentennial-era coins thrives because it offers something tangible to dream about. Coins are physical history you can hold in your hand. Unlike digital numbers or distant investments, a penny feels real, grounded, and personal. That physical connection makes the possibility of hidden value feel closer, even when it is rare. Serious collectors approach these coins with discipline rather than excitement alone. They study mint behavior, compare known anomalies, and learn how real mint errors differ from post-circulation damage. This knowledge is what separates discovery from disappointment. Without it, imagination fills the gaps. With it, the truth becomes visible. One of the quickest ways to destroy a coin's potential is cleaning it. Cleaning strips away originality, leaving behind an altered surface that collectors immediately reject. Age, tone, and even imperfections are part of a coin's identity. A clean coin may look newer, but it has lost the very qualities that give it credibility and appeal. The rare coin market is driven as much by emotion as by numbers. Collectors want to own something unique, something others cannot easily find. A 1980 Lincoln penny with a dramatic and verifiable anomaly becomes more than spare change, it becomes a symbol of rarity and survival. That emotional pull is what drives competition and, in rare cases, astonishing prices. Separating exaggeration from opportunity is essential. Not every old penny is a treasure, and most will remain worth only face value. Yet history reminds us that extraordinary coins were once ordinary too. They were overlooked, ignored, and spent until someone noticed what made them different. If you own pennies from around 1980, the smartest approach is careful observation. Look closely at the lettering, the date, the alignment, and the overall feel of the coin.
True anomalies stand out consistently, not just at first glance. When something genuinely unusual appears, that is when curiosity turns into possibility.
In the end, the story of the 1980 Lincoln penny is not really about guaranteed riches or instant billions.
It is about awareness.
It teaches that history often hides in the smallest places and that value is not always obvious at first sight. Most pennies will always be pennies, but a rare few carry stories powerful enough to turn simple curiosity into unforgettable discovery.
Next up.
The 1979 D. Lincoln penny could be hiding astonishing value immediately captures the imagination because it rewrites the rules of what we believe money to be.
A coin so familiar, stamped with "In God We Trust and Liberty," feels almost invisible in daily life. Yet when whispers of rare bicentennial-era fortunes surround it, that same penny suddenly feels charged with possibility.
The smallest object can carry the biggest surprise, and that thought alone is enough to stop people from spending their change without looking twice.
The year 1979 stands at a powerful moment in American history, positioned just after the bicentennial celebrations and before major changes in U.S. coin composition. National pride, symbolism, and transition all hovered in the background.
While 1979 was not officially a bicentennial year, coins from this period are often wrapped into bicentennial legends because they belong to the same historical heartbeat. That lingering sense of importance fuels the belief that these coins carry something special beneath their copper surfaces. The Denver Mint, marked by the small d below the date, struck enormous numbers of Lincoln cents in 1979. These coins were meant to circulate endlessly, passed from one hand to another without ceremony.
But history has proven that mass production does not guarantee uniformity.
In systems built for speed and efficiency, small irregularities can slip through, and those irregularities are where value begins to take shape. What transforms an ordinary 1979 D penny into a collector's dream is not the date alone, but what is different about it. A subtle doubling in the words e pluribus unum, a shifted strike that throws the design off balance, or an unusual texture can instantly change a coin's destiny. These are not marks of wear, but signatures of the minting process itself, frozen in time. By the late 1970s, the U.S. Mint was under immense pressure. Rising metal costs, massive demand, and tight production schedules created an environment where perfection was expected but not always achieved. When a penny emerges with a flaw that can be traced back to the moment it was struck, collectors pay attention. Scarcity born from error carries a different weight than scarcity by design. Condition adds another layer of intrigue and power.
Most 1979 pennies were used immediately, scraped against other coins, dulled by years of circulation.
A coin that somehow avoided this fate and remains sharp, glossy, and untouched feels almost unreal. In the collector world, survival in pristine condition is not just rare, it is magnetic. The phrase value superimposed often fuels dramatic claims, as if worth is secretly layered onto Liberty coins. In truth, value is something that grows slowly, shaped by rarity, demand, and story. Liberty represents an ideal, but collectors assign the price. When a coin tells a story that few others can tell, that story becomes its greatest asset.
Claims that standard circulation coins can be worth millions ignite excitement because they challenge logic.
While most pennies will never reach such heights, history has shown that a tiny number of extraordinary coins have done exactly that. These coins are legends not because they are common, but because they are nearly impossible to replace. The myth of rare USA bicentennial-era coins thrives because it offers hope that feels tangible. A penny is not an abstract investment, it is something you can hold, weigh, and examine. That physical connection makes the dream of hidden wealth feel closer, even when the odds are slim. Serious collectors do not rely on excitement alone. They study mint behavior, examine known error patterns, and learn how genuine mint anomalies differ from post-mint damage. This knowledge is what turns searching into discovery. Without it, imagination fills the gaps. With it, the truth becomes visible. One of the most common and costly mistakes people make is cleaning coins. Cleaning strips away originality, leaving behind a surface that collectors immediately recognize as altered. A dark, untouched penny often holds more potential than a bright, scrubbed one. Authenticity is everything, and once it is lost, value often disappears with it. The rare coin market is driven by emotion as much as numbers.
Collectors want something unique, something that others cannot easily own.
A rare 1979 D. Lincoln cent with a dramatic and verifiable anomaly becomes more than copper, it becomes a symbol of chance, history, and survival. That emotional pull is what drives competition and, in rare cases, extraordinary prices.
Separating exaggeration from opportunity is essential.
Not every old penny is a treasure, and most will remain worth only face value.
Yet every legendary coin was once overlooked, spent, and dismissed.
What changed was not the coin itself, but the awareness of the person who recognized it. If you own pennies from the late 1970s, the smartest approach is patience and observation. Look closely at the date, the mint mark, the lettering, and the alignment.
True anomalies reveal themselves through consistency, not wishful thinking. When something genuinely unusual appears, curiosity turns into possibility.
In the end, the story of the 1979 D. Lincoln penny is not truly about instant riches or guaranteed millions. It is about awareness and respect for detail. History often hides in the smallest places, and value is not always obvious at first glance. Most pennies will always be pennies, but a rare few carry stories powerful enough to transform simple change into something unforgettable.